I want you to imagine a typical office. We have a boss who wants more productivity, obviously. We have the employees. What do employees want? They want better salaries, they want work life balance. And then there is one more person in this picture, the third party. Who is it? Government. What does the government want? Government wants that both these people, the boss and the employees, has to follow the rules and behave nicely. So IER, or industrial industry employee relations, in short, is all about managing this triangle: the government, the boss, and the employee. Okay, this triangle that is formed with these three parties. IER is all about managing this. So it is all about creating systems and understanding how these three can work together, or at least not fight too much, for everyone's benefit. Now, this triangle has a fancy name also, which you will be hearing about quite frequently across all the units of this MMPH 4. That is tri-party, tripartite, all these different versions of this word you will hear. When you hear the word tri-party, understand it is boss or employer, it is employer, employee, government is what is the three parties we are talking about. Okay. Now, I don't want you guys to come confuse this whole concept of IER with some, strikes or handling some wage disputes and all. The concepts that we will see in the coming units, you will understand that IER is a much bigger concept because it includes things like formal negotiations, informal chats, right? Or HR policies, labor laws, right? All these things are come under this IER. So it is a bit like a burger or a lasagna, right? It has layers. It is not just about work or salary. It is about relationships, cooperation, conflict, negotiation, adjustments, and it involves human emotions, interests, and of course, ego clashes also. So it is a very, it is a very dynamic thing, this IER. Very dynamic it is. It keeps on changing as the society changes, the technology changes, the workplace evolves, it keeps on changing. And also, as I said earlier, it is tripartite. It involves three parties. Who are they? The workers and their unions, the employers and their associations, and the government. These are the three parties. So IER is, we can say it is tripartite. It is tripartite. Okay. So sometimes these three parties they agree, sometimes they disagree, and sometimes they'll just pass the ball, they'll just pass the responsibility to each other. Like a typical group project, we all know, right? So that means what? They have they have conflict between them, yes, and at the same time they also have cooperation. Sometimes they are in conflict. Sometimes, most times they have to cooperate. Even if they are in conflict, they try to reach cooperation. So let us quickly look at what some of the big scholars in this area had to say about IER. Right? We'll look at a few definitions, and you will need these definitions for exam. So listen closely. Okay. So I think it is a good idea if you can see those definitions written on screen, right? Maybe I'll just write them down. In 1967, Walker said that industrial relationship is basically the interaction system between workers and management. So that is why according to his definition, industrial relations or industry employee relations is the system of rules and procedures that are used by employers and employees to determine the terms and conditions of employment. That was his definition. That was in 1967. At that time, this was Walker was the one who proposed a definition for IER, and he described it as this interaction system. Then in 1970, Flanders came in and he described or he defined industrial relationship as the study of how job rules are made. So that is why he said that industrial relations, or IR for short, is the study of the institutions of job regulation. Then later, Laffer said that it includes, it is all about bargaining, explicit as well as implicit bargaining. Then in 1974 itself, Brain and Clegg, two people, they gave a definition that industrial relationship is the study of the rule-making process and power relationships between employers and organized labor, particularly as expressed through collective bargaining. So what he did, along with the or in addition to whatever definitions or however people had described IR earlier than them, they added few more things. They added that formal rules and informal gossips, formal as well as informal rules and regulations, all of these things affect IR. And our course specifically points out that in India, the legal framework and the role of the state are super important in shaping these relationships between industry or employer and employees. So, in short, we can say in one or two word like phrases, in a few phrases or in few lines, if I have to say in a few words, industrial relation is all about how people at work negotiate their terms, follow rules, and make new ones, and try not to end up in a labor court. Okay, so that is the definition of IER. Once again, I'm repeating because this is very important. Please take note, what is industrial relation? It is the relationship between employees, employers, employees, and the state. That is nothing but the government in work setting. Okay, so now what is the need or what is the significance of IR? What, why is this whole concept of IR important? Simply put, it is to avoid chaos. In two words, if I have to say, it is to avoid chaos. Okay, basic basic importance, basic requirement, avoid chaos. That means what? Provide industrial peace, bring about industrial peace. Imagine if there were no rules, there are no negotiations. So every time someone gets upset, what they will do? They'll just stop working. I am not working here anymore. I'm going. There are some people, anytime something doesn't go according to their plan, they'll be like, Tirnile, Kanile. That means it's done, right? We are done here. We are over with, right? We can go. Everything is over between us. That kind of people are there. It would have been like that if there were no rules or negotiations, right? Nothing would get done in that case. So, industrial relationships or industrial relations help to maintain that peace, improve productivity, and ensure fairness for all the parties that are involved, and make sure that both worker and owner, they both have economic growth, right? So, from an economy perspective also, this industrial relationship is very important. Why? Because good IR means better working conditions. Better working conditions means better output, more income. Eventually what will happen? We will have a better GDP when you talk about it from an economic perspective. Okay, also in today's world, employees expect mental health support, flexible hours. So good IER is not a luxury anymore. Okay, it is a basic necessity. If an organization is not able to maintain good relationship with its employees or with the government, it is going to go down, because there are a lot of other places which does that in the same industry. So people are going to naturally navigate towards that, and our industry, sorry, our organization is going to get shut down, right? So we all expect to be treated fairly. We all want to grow economically. So we all need IR. I hope that importance The need, the significance, all of these things are clear to you guys. So what are, now let us move on to understanding what are the actors in IR. We said it is a tripartite system. Who are the employer, right? Or I'll just write industry for short here. Then the employees, that is the workers, right? Or let's say employers, I'll put E, and workers or employees, I'll just denote it as W. And one more person, who is it? Government. So these are the three people or three parties in IR we said earlier. So that is the actors also. Who are the actors? The workers or unions, the employees, employers or associations. These guys are the bosses who give us work, and the government. These three are the actors of industrial relation. So employers and their organization, what do they want? They want smooth operation. They want good productivity and minimum disruptions, right? That is, it's just like that group project leader who want to get things done on time. Then workers or unions, they raise their voice for fair pay, job security, dignity. They are like the class reps in college who take everyone's complaints to the faculty, right? If that makes sense. And then the state or the government, they are like the referee. They make the rules and sometimes even jump in to stop the fight when things get heated. So, so these are the actors. This much is clear for you? The what is the definition of IR, what is the need or importance, and who are the players in IR. I hope these 3 points are clear to you guys. Now let us look at the approaches to IR. So we have a lot of scholars who have given various approaches to understand IR. So it is kind of like these various approaches, they are kind of like, looking at the same scene but from different angles, right? So the first approach let us talk about is unitary approach. So what is unitary approach? Here we talk about the all the parties, or at least the everyone in the organization, as one big happy family. Okay, no conflicts, just shared goals. Sounds nice, right? But in reality it is something that is too idealistic, right? It doesn't happen like that. Conflicts happen. Everything, everywhere conflicts happen. Even in the best family, conflicts happen. So corporate office also it will happen, right? So this approach of IR focuses on is harmony focused and shared goals because it views the organization as a big family. That is one approach of IR. Then comes the pluralistic approach. This is a little bit more realistic. It says, boss, everyone has their own interest. Workers have their own interest, management, unions, they all have their own interest. So conflict is natural here. So how do we manage IR? How do we make sure IR is smooth? We have to manage it smartly through negotiations and compromises. Then systems approach was proposed by Dunlop. Here we look at IR as a system that is made of interlinked parts, the actors, the environment, and the rules. If any one part is disturbed, the whole thing will go out of sync, right? Just like a thali or a sadhya, if one item is missing, the whole experience will become incomplete. Then comes the human relations approach. This one focuses on people's emotions, motivations, and relationships at work. It says that happy employees means more productive employees, so the relationship will be smoother, like that. Marx's approach is a more radical one. It sees constant struggle between workers who want better conditions and employers who want profit. So basically, it is like a class war kind of a view. Okay, that is the Marxist view. Then comes the Gandhian approach. Gandhian approach is another word for Gandhian approach is trusteeship. Trusteeship. Okay, so this is a very Indian view based upon the principles that were laid down by Gandhiji. So Gandhiji said that employers are like trustees of their wealth. So they should use it, and these employers, they have to use their wealth for society's good. It sounds very noble, and some socially responsible companies do follow this. Can you think of any companies that follow this? When it comes to me, the first name that comes to my mind is Tata's. Right. Then comes the last approach of IR I want to talk about is the social action. So social action approach is like what you can say. This is an approach which encourages collaboration and trust between these parties instead of conflict. In similar lines, we also have a socialistic approach, and even we have a Minnesota model. So, Minnesota model. Okay, I'll just write it down. Minnesota model. These are all models that encourage collaboration and trust instead of conflict. So, what are some of the factors that influence IR? Well, there are a lot of factors that influence IR, like political ideologies, ups and downs like inflation or recession, awareness levels among the employees. Then what else? Yeah, the union strength, the strength of trade unions, the attitude of the management, even labor laws, legal framework is labor laws. Outdated laws, will they be a good thing for a good outdated laws? Will it be good for a good IR? No, it will not be, right? So all these factors influence IR. If the HR department or if the laws treats or behaves like a villain who is rigid and power hungry, then poor IR is bound to happen. Similarly, there is one more important factor that some more important factors that influence IR, which I have noted down here, like globalization, gig economy. Have you heard of this word, gig economy? It's another word for describing contract employees. Okay, so remote work culture, all of these things have changed the IR game completely. So adaptability is the name of the game today. Right. Now, post the 1991 liberalization, India saw a boom in private companies, MNCs, and even startups. But this also meant that more informal jobs, weak trade unions, contract labor, and sometimes even confusion over who is responsible for worker welfare also began to crop up. So, balancing profit and people became a very tightrope walk. The dispute settlement system, as we all know, is very slow. Labor laws can be confusing and even overlapping. So, what happened? Modern IR needs simplification, it needs digitalization and quick resolution system, because no one wants to wait 3 years to settle some trivial issue in the organization, right? So that is why we can say modern IR is not simply about strikes or negotiations anymore, but rather it is about employee engagement, mental health, flexible work, gig work platforms, AI replacing routine jobs, organizations becoming more socially responsible. All of these things are included in modern IR. So you will see trends like cross-border employment due to globalization, workers expecting work-life balance and not simply just salary at the end of the month, gender equality, inclusive workplaces, digital tools for employee feedback, right? Even in my firm right now, any kind of feedback is taken through forms. So Google Form or Microsoft Forms, something like that, but digitally. So the future of IER is all about balancing between human needs, organizational goals, legal frameworks, and even social expectations. Now, industrial and employee relationship might sound a bit technical, might sound a lot of social studies, but at the core, it is all about people, power, and negotiation, right? It's all about people, power, and negotiation. Whether you're managing a 5% startup or a giant factory, if your workers are not happy, your productivity is going to suffer. At least that much you are clear by now, right? So the key here is to keep the communication open, build trust, follow fair practices, and respect every stakeholder. And remember, whether you are an HR manager or a future CEO of your own entrepreneurial venture, industrial peace is not going to be achieved by ignoring problems, but by understanding them and working together. So these are the important concepts of Unit 1. You need to know by the end of Unit 1, you need to be clear about the definition of IR, the nature of IR. We said it is dynamic, it is tripartite. Tripartite. That means it has employers, workers, and government. It involves cooperation and conflict. When there are multiple people working together, we definitely there is going to be conflict, but if things have to be smooth, we have to ensure cooperation also. And also there are both formal and informal rules between them. So you need to know about the nature of IER, the definition of IER, who are the actors in IER, what is the need or the importance of IER, what are the different approaches of IER, and the factors that influence IER. Okay, so these are the few the important concepts that are being discussed in Unit 1. I hope this session was helpful for you in understanding these concepts so that now you can prepare in depth for your term and examination. Let me know your thoughts through your likes, shares, and comments. If you like my video, consider looking at my other videos, and if possible, try subscribing to the channel so that you won't miss any new videos that I post. Until we meet again, happy learning.